Okay, then yeah, that makes a lot of sense why people aren't working out. If the children that you're referring to came from us, if you think that your child comes before that person, you already failed. You already in misalignment. You already got it twisted because this offspring is from the union of you two. That person is the most important person on the planet. That's why people's marriage don't work right now, because they don't see it that way. That's why they can walk away. When you become one, that literally is what it is. How you gonna divorce yourself? Don't make no sense.
A wife is responsible for you have responsibilities once you lock those in, right? Whereas when you're a boyfriend girlfriend, those things start off small, and as you guys get stronger, it starts to take on more and more responsibility for each other. But it's not a actual responsibility. But you're doing the same things. Like he's protecting you. He's making sure he holds your doors. You walking on a certain side of the street and all that type of stuff. You making sure that you're catering to him in ways. You're asking him, hey, did you eat, or how was work? Like what do you need from me and all that type of stuff. But as you kind of get closer, and eventually, like some people move in before they get married, some people move in after they get married, and that's when the big, if you move in before you get married, obviously you're going to have a much bigger chunk of husband things that you're doing, maybe all of them for the most part, right? But once you're a husband, you lock it in. That's the difference. It's signed. It's a contract now. So that's the big difference.
I think like the things that you listed, those are all great things. Where I think is missed sometimes is that we look at it just from a functional perspective, right? What you did say at first, 1000% agree. You're responsible, right? But in my mind, the transition of a husband arriving in the mind of a woman should be, would you let that man lead you? Would you allow him to be truly responsible for you? Not task, not financially. Would you entrust your life to him? If you don't see that man like that, he's not going to be husband, period, because you don't even align with that mentally, right? Where we get it mixed up now, current day, is that we think it's the little taking out on dates, taking out trash. You got a blown tire. He comes from his basketball game to come change it. That's all performative. If you don't have the aspect to where you are looking at life to understand that the difference between being a boyfriend and a girlfriend is, will I shift my world for this person? That means different location. That means consideration to the utmost perspective. I don't do a job or a career without their endorsement. I don't go purchase certain things without talking over with them and what they think. Their input is heavily weighted, right? It's not performative. It's a shift in mindset. You have to convert your entire approach to life. And I think, unfortunately, most people just don't have that ability, not current day, because they want the convenience of function. So if I need new tires and I don't want to pay for them, I'm going to hit up my man so he can do it. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel comfortable. But at the same token, are you going to be willing to taper back on your dreams or your aspirations for the maturation of the family, for what he may need from you? If he can't place a demand on you, a real demand on you, you ain't ready to be a wife. And that's cool. Be a girlfriend.
Well, true. In reality, boyfriends and girlfriends do that too.
Do you
Like,
think so?
yeah, once you get serious, majority, once you get serious with somebody, your life becomes shaped around that individual. You know, like seriously, most
I mean,
people are cohabitating and they're building their lives around each other, and they're taking a step back with their career or something like that, and they're planning together to be together. They're thinking about houses and stuff. Like people are getting houses together and stuff like that. So,
but do you think that people are doing it? Okay, you may be right. I observe it to where I see people doing it out of convenience. I think that as long as everything is functioning right, he working, you working, there's amicable amount of money, there's convenience at the highest level, then yes, you can function. But marriage, from what I understand and from what I've studied and observed for people who've done it, it literally requires every aspect of your life to change. This means that the dynamics of relationship that you have with your siblings, your parents, everything involved, they have a direct front seat to have an opinion. They have the direct front seat to even maybe move certain things around, because the union is of the utmost importance. And from what I see, most people can't even compromise on date nights or girls' night out or things that are really trivial, right? So I think people are fooling themselves. I don't think that if it came down to a real demand, and we asked mainly women this question, if he stopped being awesome and contributing, would you still arrive with the same level of love, admiration, and respect? And almost every woman in these spaces have said 6 months maximum. This means that we're always under the guise of she's not really performing in her wife energy, because she can only be great if you don't fall off. And I would say that most men are ready to be husbands if they've reached a level of maturity and they feel comfortable in their masculinity. They already arrive with this understanding that I only need her to be willing, open, and what is not and collaborate in the sense of working with me. That's it. I don't think women think like that.
How many married couples do you think would put each other before they put the kids? What percentage?
I would say it would probably be around the 60 to 70% range if they got a healthy relationship.
So you think, I'm so not like the ifs, but like in reality, how many people do you think would save their spouse before they save their children that they created in a marriage?
I think I don't know the percentage, but I think the majority wouldn't. I think they would choose their children.
That's sad.
The reason I ask that is because the type of marriage that you're talking about, I don't think is commonplace. You're talking about a deeper type of marriage and union, and probably from a biblical perspective, right? The average marriage, people aren't on that level that you're speaking about. So that's the reason that I asked that.
That's a fair question. Are these children that we're talking about, did these children come from the union of them? Okay, then yeah, that makes a lot of sense why people aren't working out. If the children that you're referring to came from us, if you think that your child come before that person, you already failed. You already in misalignment. You already got it twisted, because this offspring is from the union of you two. That person is the most important person on the planet. That's why people's marriage don't work right now, because they don't see it that way. That's why they can walk away. When you become one, that literally is what it is. How you gonna divorce yourself? Don't make no sense.
Jay, you on mute?
Sorry, how many of you would choose your partner over your kids?
So I think there's a difference of life and death. The truth of the matter is that most people are going to save their children before their partner if they have met their children, right? I think there's a difference in unborn children. There are some men who will say, like, nah, I'm going to save my wife before a child I haven't met. But majority of people right now will save their living children that they know and have met before they save their spouse. That's, I think, a majority. But I think when it goes to putting someone first, though, in everyday situations outside of life and death, I see a lot of people who get divorced after the kids grow up and leave because they only stayed for the kids. They really only, and I've noticed in Caucasian circles, at different groups of therapy and stuff, you ask someone, why did you marry that person? It's because for the majority of Caucasian population, marriage is the gateway to children. In the Black population, that's not true. Most people will ask you, when are you going to have kids before when you get married? Like in the Black population, you producing offspring to Black people is like the utmost important. They don't care if you're married. They don't care if you got the finances. You leaving this world without a child is like, what? To the Black population. And so I do think there's a difference in culture, though, where it's like, so I define like marriage benefits from a biblical standpoint. It's combining bodies and producing children, right? Combining households, living together, combining finances and assets, performing tasks and services, and then putting that person at the helm of your life, right? Having that person be the most important person in your life. And so it's like, when you start taking away some of those things that should only really be in marriage, that's when I think there's the issues. And I know plenty of people who, to Mont's point, moving in together before you get married is very, very common right now. Producing children before you get married is kind of common. Finances, I know people who have bought houses and all the things. And then there's a performance of certain tasks and stuff like that. So it is a little bit in our modern time. Yes, most people expect marriage benefits before marriage. And that's our society, right? That's just how Western culture it just is.